Welcome to today's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast, your channel for super easy, no-nonsense advice on how to declutter and organise your home. Please welcome your hosts, professional organisers Ingrid Jansen and Lesley Spellman.
Hello and welcome listeners to episode 56 of the Declutter Hub podcast. I'm Ingrid.
And I'm Lesley.
If you have clutter and want to sort it out, this is the show for you. As well as the free resources on our declutterhub.com website, like the podcast, checklist and guest blogs, we also have an exclusive area where we guide our members step by step to declutter their homes. We realize this can be very overwhelming, so we're there every step of the way with courses, live Q&As and a community discussion. In today's podcast episode, Lesley and I are talking about organizing for Halloween. Now, Lesley, you absolutely love Halloween, right?
Oh, don't get me started on Halloween. It all started really, I think it's fair to say that when I was growing up in the kind of 70s here in the UK, Halloween wasn't really a big deal at all, and it was all a little bit scary and it wasn't very community focused. But when I moved to America in 2001, so I was kind of 30 odd and my kids were little, really little. And that's the first time when I saw Halloween, and I knew it was a big deal in America, but I didn't know how much of a big deal it was. And so I was there for 2 Halloweens and I absolutely loved everything about it. And the main reason why I love it so much is because it gets all of the community together. And I think that's such a lovely thing. And I think for years in this country, we had this kind of a little bit of a downer on it and thinking it was just loads of kids coming to your house asking for £1 and things like that, and it wasn't that kind of community driven thing that it is in America. So yeah, in America, it's a big deal. They celebrate it within the school day as well. All the kids dress up without exception. All houses have sweets to give to the children. So it's very much a community thing and I absolutely love it. And we then brought a little bit of that Halloween spirit back to the UK with us. And so we like Halloween over here now too.
That's so interesting because like you, when I grew up in Holland, Halloween was not a thing at all. It was not celebrated at all. And when I lived in the US for 1 year, back in the beginning of the 90s, that was the first time I actually saw the houses decorated and the pumpkins and the orange colors. Orange is a good color, obviously, being from the Netherlands. I think maybe that's why I love Halloween. I'm not sure. But now I do set up some decorations at home, and I've always been trick-or-treating with the kids and we really enjoyed. And this is actually the first year we're not going to go trick-or-treating. So the kids are absolutely distraught, but they're both teenagers now. So I've said, right, enough already with the trick-or-treating. Let's stay home and let's make sure we've got sweets for the kids that are coming to our house now. But my favorite bit actually is visiting the pumpkin farm and just choosing a whole array of pumpkins and using them as decorations to decorate the house. And my husband makes wonderful pumpkin soup. So actually my neighbor said the other day, ooh, it's my favorite time of year. You're going to bring me pumpkin soup really soon again. So it's going around and as well, again, community spirit is the pumpkin soup with me and our neighbors.
The nice thing about Halloween is not quite so focused on gift giving and money and things like that and buying, elaborate gifts. It's just cuter, isn't it? Mm-hmm. The most that you're going to outlay is for a few decorations, a costume and some sweets for your neighbours' kids. And I just think that's a really, really lovely thing. We fell in love with it so much because our kids were the perfect age. They were like 7 and 4, so it was just so lovely to take them out there. And I really, really fell in love with that. And I actually fell in love with everything about the Americans, the way that they decorate their homes for different seasons, whether that's Valentine's Day or Thanksgiving or Halloween and Christmas. They really do go overboard. And I absolutely love that. And so we consequently go quite overboard ourselves now, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I kind of remember from seeing some photos from last year, you kind of go all out with decorating your house, right?
We do. Let's just say we do. We do have kind of, we try to do it in a tasteful way. But Steve, my husband, he's the Halloween guy, so he sets it all up, absolutely loves doing that. But this year we're all away, so we might not do it. And so my son Nathan's like, you can't not do it. People are expecting it. People love coming to our house to get sweets and things. I'm like, I know, okay, that's fine. So I don't quite know what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks because we're going to be away for Halloween, so there's not going to be anyone here. And then you can't decorate all your house up and then not allow children in to come and get sweets. It just seems so mean. It's like, come in, and then give them absolutely nothing. But that comes at a price because you've got to then store all the decorations. And trust me, we've got big scarecrows and scary things and models that, and these things are big. The Halloween decorations tend to be quite big.
So have you got like a googly ghost or something, or like a tombstone in your garden, or what kind of decorations are we talking about here?
Like all of the above. All of the above. But, you know, they are all quite big. They're kind of dramatic things, aren't they? So they're all quite big things. And so every year, you know, just before Halloween, all new Halloween decorations will start coming in. And that's my husband going crazy. And I'm constantly trying to, like, keep everything under control so it doesn't get completely out of control with the decorations. But, you know, it needs to be managed. And you need to view Halloween decorations, Christmas decorations, Thanksgiving decorations, whatever that is, in the same way. And you will, over time, you will get fed up of some of the ones that you've got. And so you need to go through a decluttering process with decorations in the same way that you do everything else in your home.
Let's start then. So where does all this stuff live, Lesley?
I know. So it was all right, you see, when we were in America, so this huge basement that was unfinished, we could just put all these things in. But now I've got quite a small space. I know I've mentioned before on the podcast, I've not got a garage, I've not got a loft, but I've got a storage room downstairs. I've got a tiny bit of that storage room, probably, I would say it's a 2 metre square section where I've got all my decorations, and I try and keep it to that section. Obviously, all the boxes get piled up on top of each other, but they're all there and they're reasonably accessible.
Mm-hmm. So it's important, exactly, great that you go all out, but of course, realistically, it needs to live somewhere. It needs to have a home, because if it starts to float around in 5 different places, that's when things get really into muddle, right?
Yeah.
So you've got everything together. Now, I remember you mentioning something about orange boxes in the previous podcast. Is that the famous Halloween boxes that you have?
Yeah, I think that's what, yeah, I'm always very jealous of the Americans because they've got such great storage boxes, really. And we're getting better over in this country. But yeah, so I've got red and green boxes for Christmas, and I've got orange and black boxes for Halloween. And so it's very clear what everything is, and it's all lovely. But after we did the last podcast, because I was thinking, oh, you can only get those in America, and that obviously is not true, because we've really caught up, maybe not quite as much as the Americans with Halloween over here, but it's a big deal here now. It is not the same as it was 20 years ago when I went to America. Absolutely not. You know, people go all out here as well too now. So
Oh yeah. I mean, we do have some lovely streets close to our house where we love to go trick-or-treating with the kids, because we know that the decorations are going to be really good. And, you know, some houses really go all out now, but it's lovely to see.
Of course it is. It's the only time that you see the neighbourhood kids, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because they can't play out like they used to. And so they all come and they're so excited. And I just absolutely love it. And I get really fed up with people who are like, bah humbug. You know, it's kind of like they just come and they want things. And I don't want all those kids knocking at my door. I'm like, why not? They're so cute.
I know, they're so cute in their little costumes with their little Halloween baskets and grabbing like as much sweets in one hand as they can.
I know, exactly.
Absolutely love it. So I have a big question for you then. Are you decluttering when you put all the decorations away, or are you actually decluttering when you set it all up? So how does that work then?
Because setting up for Halloween is quite a big job in our house, you know, it's going to take a full day really probably to get that done. So it's not something that we do just the day before. So quite often here in this country, people will only decorate for Halloween for 1 day or 2 days. Yeah. Whereas we'll probably leave our Halloween decorations up for a week. And so what I try and do is preempt it a little bit and look at the decorations beforehand, because what I want to do, if there is anything that I want to offload and that I don't want for this year's decorating, I want to be able to send it to the charity shops so that they can sell it before Halloween. Because the last thing that I want the charity shops to have to do is to store that stuff for another year until that season comes around. Mm-hmm. And obviously no one's going to buy Halloween decorations after the event. Well, they might do if it's cheap, but you want the charity shops to get the most money for it, don't you? And that's obviously going to be before Halloween. So I will probably start looking at Halloween decorations a week before, take out the things that I want to use, put them up, and then send the rest to charity.
Okay. So you really you make a conscious decision to take all the boxes out of your basement, you take it all out, you look at and you make decisions. What am I going to put outside and up in the house? Have I done enough now? And that immediately goes in the car, and you try to drive it to the charity shop as quickly as possible so they can actually do a last minute sale and get hopefully some good money for it before the holiday is over.
Yeah, and I think it's a very transient thing as well, because kids grow, and then kids grow every year, and they're coming out of Halloween costumes. You know, they don't want the same trick-or-treating box. They don't have the little basket things. They don't have them once they get to a certain age. So there's always things that have gone because your kids are growing, aren't they?
Yeah. Let's talk about then after Halloween is done, I assume it's quite a big job to put it all away again. So what are any practical tips for our listeners for that, Lesley?
I think the most important thing to me is to get the job done and get the job finished, because what we see quite a lot at clients' homes is unfinished jobs, like people are kind of take these decorations down because they know they need to come down, but they're not packing them and putting them away. So it's really important to finish the job and make sure that if you have your Halloween decorations scattered around inside the house, which we do as well, and quite often people will have Halloween parties, make sure you look on the back of every little doorknob, same as you do at Christmas. You put everything away, haven't you? And then you see some little random thing in your toilet downstairs or something. Oh, I didn't put it away.
Every year, Lesley. Every year.
And even though I know that I've got to do that, it's like, I still, right, I'm going to scour the house and see it. And trust me, I've got an eye for anything that's out of place. But still, second week in January, I'm seeing a little sleigh bell on the back of a door somewhere. And I'm like, no. But anyway.
This sounds so familiar. I think I've had this 3 years in a row now. I'm like walking all around the house thinking I have everything. I'm sure I have everything. And then suddenly you think, what is this doing there? So I hear you. I hear you. Listeners, this makes me really laugh because I have the same thing. But I agree with you. It's very important to finish the job and actually put it in the boxes, organize it, and put it away. I think boxes with lids is quite important, isn't it?
Yeah, critical.
Yeah.
Critical.
Yeah.
Because they need to stack, don't they?
Yeah.
Or stackable boxes. If you can get the ones that stack on top of each other, but lids are ideal.
Yeah.
Because you can still get ones that stack that are not lidded.
Yeah.
But
so what would you do if you've got like this gigantic Halloween decoration that can't fit in any box?
Well, first of all, when the Halloween decorations start to come at the end of September that my husband has ordered from Amazon, and I see these huge boxes, my heart sinks because I'm like, where are we going to store it? And he's like, stop being so mean. It's for the kids. So A, we start arguing about the stuff that's coming in. And B, you just have to try and store it in the box that it came in if it's not going to fit in one of your plastic boxes.
I've got a little top tip as well before to kind of wrap up this decorations thing. Of course, I would assume that some of your decorations have batteries and cables and electrics to make sure it all works and runs and if it makes noises and sounds. So don't forget to take out your batteries out of any equipment that you have, because they can definitely leak if you store them away for a year. And then the Halloween decoration gets unusable. So take those batteries out before you store it away, right?
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I probably don't do that. I'm totally going to do that this year. This is the difference between Ingrid and I. I'm like, oh, yay, Halloween decorations. And she's like, yep, you need to be practical and you need to take the batteries out of things. And so you're getting both sides of the story here, listeners.
I love it when she confesses this kind of stuff on the podcast. Yeah, I think we've got everything, haven't we? I think now, because there's now, of course, one thing I want to know now. Do you dress up for Halloween? Because, of course, I've never been here for Halloween, so I don't know this.
I don't.
Oh.
Is that really disappointing?
Yes.
So the house is all decorated, but I don't dress up. I did when I was in America, because I went to 2 Halloween parties, which I also absolutely loved. Because the difference as well between America and here is that the kids and the adults then, over here it's more that our kids dress up in like spooky things like witches and what else?
Yeah, like
wizards and
what do you call them?
Scarecrows and skeletons.
Skeletons,
and that kind of thing. Whereas in America, it's just standard dress up, isn't it? And so they don't just wear spooky stuff. They might go as Superman or Batman or a princess or whatever. And so it's just an opportunity to dress up, and they do these little Halloween parades and all the kids wear different things. And so it's very different now. And we still definitely have that kind of spooky Halloween thing going on here in terms of dress up. Yeah. Which leads us very neatly onto dressing up, doesn't it?
Yes, dressing up. I think we need to make a distinction between adult costumes for Halloween and kids' costumes. And actually, I was thinking about this because I was recently working with a client and we found her kids' Halloween costumes in a dressing up box. And I went, perfect! This is the great time to take these all out. And because we were sorting the costumes out and we found the Halloween costumes. And I went, right, this is the perfect opportunity to go, does it actually still fit? Because, of course, especially little kids, they just grow so quickly that 1 year they might be able to fit a costume. If you're lucky, you get 2 years out of it. More often than not, they won't. So it's important that you take the costumes out, let them try it on. Does it still fit? Maybe if they've been using it for dressing up over the summer or for other, maybe it needs to have a little wash, these costumes, because maybe there's some things on there that you think, I'm not really sure what this is. So check that out, and so you have it ready. And also, because if you've realized that it doesn't fit, you still have time to go order something or go to the shops and find something else, if dressing up with Halloween with the kids is something you do. So I think that's really important. But of course, that leads to the question then, what do you do with these costumes? Do they live in a dressing up box, or have you got a separate box for the costumes?
I think it's really going to depend, isn't it, on the age of your children. So I think while my children were little, I definitely had the Halloween costumes in with the standard dress up, because they might want to dress up as a wizard or a witch one day. Do you know what I mean? It's not exclusively a Halloween thing.
Yeah.
So I definitely had them all together, unless it was something very specific. Dress up's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's something as professional organisers we come across, and I think people expect us to have these fantastic solutions to organising issues. And dress up is one that I always really struggle with, because unless you've got, of course, there are beautiful things out there on the market to store your dressing up costumes, and you'll see them all over magazines. But the reality is, fancy dress tends to breed and dress up, doesn't it? And people, you know, it's not an expensive outlay generally, is it? You know, you can get them for a few pounds. We tend to gather them along the way. And so they get chucked into a box, and there's just this mishmash of things. There's always loads and loads of different components to a dressing up outfit as well. Your kids play and you want them to play, but equally, you know, to get that costume back and get all the parts back together, it's not really going to happen, is it? So it's something that needs to be managed. So dress up. If anybody's got a fantastic solution to dress up, I'd like to hear it. But for me, it's just more about having a big container. If you've got a hanging rail, fantastic. If you've got space for a hanging rail, they're brilliant. And you can also change the size of the hanging rails up or down, depending on the size of your children. So a hanging rail is a good thing if you've got space for that. But generally, I would say use a trunk, use a truck, use a big container, and just chuck them all in, and every now and again just have a little bit of a sort out. And to be fair, that's probably the only thing that you can really do. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, when the kids were little, it was with all the other costumes. I think we had some sort of tub where all the wands and the princess dresses and the pirate eye and all of those things, including the Halloween costumes, lived. And now when the kids are older, we don't have a dressing up box, of course. So they're now in one of the wardrobes upstairs. I hang them up. But I think you're right. I mean, the costumes, especially with Halloween, they've got like this broom, and you're like, where on earth do I fit a broom? You know, that doesn't fit in the truck. Or like the massive witches' hats that have like these massive iron things in them, so you can't really squash them because then the whole hat looks wonky. So it's really kind of trying to find the right area for it. But I would say put as much together as you can. And if you're all adults now, maybe a box with a lid is the best solution, and that it goes with the decorations. So, and you can stack it on top. So there's different options, I think, there.
It's tricky. It really is tricky. And I think talking about those extra little bits, you know, like pirate eye patches and all these little things that we're talking about, it might be useful to get a box to gather all of those together in one place, even though they're not, because I think it would be too hard to try and keep it with the outfit. Yeah. And so it might be just useful to have somewhere, and you know, if you're looking for accessories for an outfit, kids, this is where they all are. Rummage through them, and actually when you finish with the accessory, you know, we've got little belts on princess dresses, haven't we, that come off. Put them back in that box, and so that they don't get lost, because it's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, the one thing that I would say about fancy dress is charity shops absolutely love fancy dress outfits because they sell them really quickly. But it's nice to have the full outfit, isn't it?
Yeah. I think also personally for me, you know, I mean, I love decluttering and I love organizing it, but also when we're doing the trunk with all the dressing up stuff, she's like, oh, Ingrid, shall we put it all separately and in plastic bags? And I'm like, kids don't work that way.
No.
And especially when they're little, you want them to be able to open the truck and combine a pirate dress with a Halloween broom and a pirate patch, and because that's what they do, and that's their creative play. So I think although it looks beautifully in all these different kinds of labeled containers, in real life, it just doesn't work that way. So I think you can do that when they're older and it's just an occasion and you can pack it away. But when they're small, just Do it all together in a trunk, let them enjoy it, and get the most out of the costumes while they still fit them.
Because I think, you're absolutely right. And it takes me back, because that's one thing where the creativity is at its best, isn't it? And you have to let it be. And that's one of the things where, as a parent, you can encourage, I can put a little box and ask your children to put the accessories back into it. But how likely is that to happen? Probably pretty unlikely, if I'm truly honest. And so as a parent, you're probably going to, if you want it to be a little bit more orderly, that's something that you're going to need to get involved in, as with most playrooms or toys or whatever you're storing them.
Yeah.
So that's just the reality of children. And it's just so lovely to see them dressing up and enjoying themselves, isn't it?
I think last thing I want to make about costumes and dressing up is, of course, a lot of people use with Halloween, they've got these makeup kits, make up their face with like scary things. Make sure you check if it's from last year or the year before. Don't wait until Halloween itself to look at the packaging and maybe have a look. Does it still look good? Does it still smell good? And if you think to yourself, do I really want to put this on my face? It might be time to declutter it and get another a little set in the shops if you are going to, because the last thing you want is to have a rash all over your face because the Halloween kit was like 5 years old and a bit dodgy, and you really don't want that.
No, you're so right.
Right. Lesley.
Yes.
We're on the count, it's nearly Halloween.
Oh, I know.
So I know.
Got to decide, are we going to decorate the house or not?
No, I know. Yeah, so
I feel like it's going to be taken out of my hands, and my husband and my youngest son are going to make that decision. So we will see.
Okay.
We will see whether that
happens. So
happens.
At some point we will report back to you listeners if Lesley decorated her house or not. We wish you all a lovely Halloween. And are you inspired to decorate your home? What's going to happen in your house? Are you dressing up? Are you trick-or-treating? Are you decorating? We'd love to know. Let us know in the comments, and we'd love to hear what your plans are. So thanks so much for taking the time to listen today. If you'd like to get more tips and advice, please follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as @DeclutterHub. And we've got a lovely Facebook group where we chat all things clutter. You can search for the Declutter Hub community. We'd love to see you there. Don't forget our fantastic membership. We're offering step-by-step online courses, live Q&A sessions, and a membership community. Have a look on members.declutterhub.com for more information. If you don't want to miss the next weekly episode, please subscribe to the Declutter Hub podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Stitcher, and it will pop into your notification each Friday. See you next time.
Of the Declutter Hub podcast. Check out declutterhub.com for more inspiration, and don't forget to tune in next week.